CCP information session. My name is Stephanie Brown. I'm an assistant provost at Lakeland Community College. And we have a great partnership with Lake Catholic. And so we like to come out each year and share information about the College Credit Plus program in general, just an overview of all the state rules and regulations using the information that the Ohio Department of Higher Education has put together. So I'll be doing that first, and I'll be spending some time going over some of the specifics related to students at private schools and how they get CCP funding. So I'll make sure to go over that information as well. And then towards the end of the presentation, I'll be sharing some information specific to Lakeland. So you're more familiar with some of the opportunities available there since we do have this great partnership. If at any point you have a question, raise your hand or stop me, and I'm happy to answer questions. There'll be an opportunity for questions at the end as well. So College Credit Plus, or what we call CCP, is Ohio's dual credit program where students can earn both high school and college credit at the same time. So students enroll with the college, they're earning college credits, they're adhering to the policies and requirements of the college as a college student. Students can apply to any public and any participating private college or university in Ohio, and students may apply to multiple colleges or even attend multiple colleges at the same time through CCP. To be eligible, students must be in the 7th to 12th grade and must be Ohio residents. Students must meet academic eligibility standards, which are determined by the state, and we'll go over those details in a little bit, as well as the admissions requirements set by individual colleges and universities. And students must be college ready. So that does mean academically, but it also means so much more than being than a score on a test or a GPA. A lot of things to consider are more about being in the environment and taking on the responsibility of being a college student, being prepared for that emotional and social transition, and meeting college expectations in the classroom. College is different than high school, so making sure that the student has time management and organizational skills is really important. The other thing that we find that you might not think about, I know a lot of times parents are excited about the College Credit Plus program and they jump onto the computer and they fill out that application. A CCP student, as a college student, they should be filling out the CCP application. That's an important first step in them becoming a college student. The other thing to consider is that some college classes have content that is oriented more towards adults because that's the typical college student. So just having that awareness that by taking a college level course, students may be exposed to some more mature content through reading assignments, classroom discussions, and those kinds of things. Starting this upcoming year, there is a new rule for CCP for all colleges and universities that we must have both the student and the parent sign a CCP permission slip saying that they understand that they're enrolling in a college course and that the college course may have mature content. So one thing we like to talk about is how college is different than high school. So when you think about high school, you're learning a lot in the classroom. You get a lot of opportunities to turn in assignments, homework assignments, quizzes, papers. You have tests or quizzes maybe once a week or at the end of every chapter. And you're getting most of that information in class. In college, you have usually fewer assignments, maybe only tests in the class, and there may only be 2. You may have just a midterm and a final. So that means that the amount of time you're preparing outside of class is a lot more than what you would be doing in a high school class. The general rule of thumb in college is that a student will spend about 2 to 3 hours for every credit hour they're enrolled in. So if you're taking a 3 credit hour English course, that can be 6 to 9 hours a week outside of class doing the assignments and readings and studying, preparing for tests or quizzes. So it's important to take that into consideration when you're deciding how many college classes to take. And because there are fewer assignments and quizzes and tests, that puts a lot more importance on each one that you're doing, and you're going longer amount of time between them, and so you have to kind of maintain a more knowledge between tests. So all of those things are different academically. A lot of times too in high school, you get daily reminders from your teachers. Remember, we've got that quiz tomorrow, or turn this in. In college, it's really up to you to be checking your email, looking at the syllabus and knowing what's expected of you. You may not get those reminders in class. In high school, attendance is required. Mom and dad are getting a phone call if you haven't showed up to school. In college, the attendance rule is set by each individual instructor. So you may be enrolled in 4 college courses, and one instructor may not have an attendance policy at all. One may say you can miss 2. One may say every time you miss, I'm going to take points off. So that's per class. And at the end of the day, we are not reporting attendance back to the high school or to the parents. Okay, so even when we emphasize, even when a college professor does not have an attendance policy, it's still very important to be in class every day so that you're not missing any of that content. And the other big difference, probably one of the biggest differences between high school and college, is the role of the parent. Of course, you're going to be play an important role in your child's experience, both at high school and college. But in high school, you're very involved. You have access to all of the information, parent-teacher conferences. You may have a parent portal that you can log into and see all the grades and attendance. In college, you don't have that level of access, and that's because of something we call FERPA. It's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and this is a federal regulation that prevents colleges and universities from sharing student information with anybody except the student. The government considers the student's record to belong to the student, regardless of how old they are, and the colleges and universities are just stewards, protectors of that information. So if we have a parent of a CCP student or a college student, that happens sometimes too, an adult student, call Lakeland and ask, what classes is my child taking? Did they show up yesterday? What grade are they getting in math? We are not allowed to share that information because of FERPA. Students can sign a permission to release information form. That has to be student initiated. And with that form on file, we have a little bit more flexibility in what we're able to share with the parent. Any questions about FERPA? Okay. So there's a lot of benefits to participating in CCP. Of course, you're earning both high school and college credits at the same time. It gives students a head start on their career plans, thinking about what they might want to major in later after high school. Students can start and potentially complete a degree or a certificate program. It's also a great opportunity for students to gain an understanding of what's expected of college students, which makes that transition after high school to a 4-year school or into a master's program. That's going to help them transition more smoothly because they already have an understanding of those expectations and the work it takes to be a good college student. And of course, you're saving on tuition and textbook costs. So there is a difference with CCP funding between students that attend a public school and students that are either homeschooled or attending a private school. So the difference for private school students is that they must apply for CCP funding each year. There is a CCP funding application that's available, and the deadline for that is April 1st each year. The funds come from the state, and they're limited, and when you fill out the application, you'll request a certain number of credits, up to 30. Okay, so you may request all 30 credit hours, but they may not be able to give you all 30 credit hours, depending on a lot of things. What's in the budget, how many students are applying for funds, and how many credits is everybody asking for. Those funding awards are distributed based on the student grade level. So once they get all of the applications in by April 1st and see how many students they have, how much money is in the budget, then they start with 12th graders first, and then work their way down to make sure that seniors have the best opportunity to get the credits that they're asking for. There is a handout that's on the table. So if you didn't grab one of these, make sure that you do on your way out. This is a handout from ODHE that kind of walks you through the steps. So if you have it, it's probably easier to see than the screen. But it's just a quick review of the steps involved in applying for CCP funding. The first thing to do is to create an OHID account. And you can do this anytime. And this must be done by the parent with the parent's name. Okay, it's not in the student's name. You may have an OHID account if you have another child that participated in CCP in the last couple of years, and there's other funding resources and things that are available through that portal that you may have done. So if you've already created an OHID account, you don't need to create a new one. Once you've created that, then you will request access to the CCP funding application, and that's available now. It becomes available in early February each year, so that is available now. And the deadline is April 1st, okay, for the intent form. You may have heard this. It's the same deadline for public school students. They're turning their forms into the high school. The intent form is now part of that funding application. So as you're working your way through that funding application, I think that's one of the first steps. You're just stating that you're intending to participate in CCP. You're not bound to doing that. You can change your mind, but that's just raising your hand to say that's a possibility. As you're filling out the application, they're also going to ask you to provide a copy of an acceptance letter to whatever college or university you're planning to attend. So in addition to filling out this funding application, you'll want to make sure that you're filling out the college application and working through those steps as well. Now, sometimes we have students at Lakeland who've applied and they haven't quite gotten through the process to be admitted yet, so they don't have an acceptance letter. We're getting close to that April 1st deadline. We can also provide you with a letter of conditional acceptance. They will take that, and then you can upload the official acceptance letter later. I think they have to have it usually by August. So if that's your situation, don't worry. You can still move forward with the application, and we'll get you a document that will help you complete and submit that application. It's important to know that they will not extend the deadline, and there are no exceptions. So every year I have some upset parents or students on the phone because they missed the deadline, or they thought it went through and it didn't. They waited till the 1st, and now they are not able to get the funding. So make sure, please don't wait till April 1st to do it, just in case you have any technical difficulties. So about 5 weeks after filling out that application, they try to always do it by May 15th is kind of the goal that ODHE has. You will get an email. You'll get an email confirmation that your application went through. So if you don't get that, make sure you log back into your portal and make sure everything's okay with your application. Then 5 weeks later, you'll get an email telling you to go back into your portal because your award letter is ready. And then that award letter, you can download it as a PDF. That's going to tell you, they don't tell you how many dollars you get, they tell you how many credit hours you've been awarded. Okay, so the maximum is 30 that you can request. If you're only planning to take one class, don't ask for 30. But make sure, kind of think about next year and think about how many credit hours you might use and put that on the application. You can't go back in after that deadline and change it. So when you get that award letter back, let's say, and maybe you have two students, maybe you have a student that's going to be a senior and a student that's going to be a 9th grader, and they both want to do it. Your senior may have asked for 24 credit hours and may have gotten all of them. And your 9th grader may have asked for 24 credit hours and maybe only got 3. But that letter will tell you how many credits you were awarded, and that's the maximum number of credits you can enroll in using the state funds. And then one of the really important steps in this process is when you access that PDF of the award letter, you save it on your computer. The colleges and universities need to have a copy of it. The state won't send it to us. We need to get that from the student or from the parents. So we know how many hours to bill the state for your student. So that's an important step in the process. So let's say you ask for 12 credit hours and receive 12 credit hours. And then you realize that thinking there's 4 classes and college courses are usually 3 credit hours each, so that's 12. I think that'll be good. And then you decide that the 4 courses should be 2 English courses and 2 math courses, but one of those math courses is a 4 credit hour class. That gets you to 13. And you've been awarded 12 credit hours by ODHE. That whatever course takes you over, the student would have to pay for that entire course out of pocket. So the state will not pay for a partial class or like the first half of the textbook. Okay, so if you do go over in credit hours, they look at that entire class. So whatever a student takes that's being covered by state funds, that's considered option B in CCP. And that just means the student is using state funds and it's covering, tuition, fees, textbooks, all of the costs. It's really the default option for CCP, and it means that the grades go on both the high school transcript and the college transcript. Now, if a student goes over their credit hours, let's say they only were awarded 12, they want to take 15 or 20 or whatever, and they're okay with paying out of pocket because they want to take those classes. Once a student is paying out of pocket, they move into option A. Basically, that just means that you're paying out of pocket and you're paying at the college's regular rate. So because we have a partnership with Lake Catholic, they're paying a lower rate for, or because we have a partnership, the state is paying a lower rate for the CCP courses. However, whenever a student's taking classes through option A, they're paying the regular rate. If you're a Lake County resident, you get the in-county rate. If you live outside of Lake County, you're paying the out-of-county rate, and you're paying for textbooks and course fees and lab fees and all of those things as well. And then the other difference with option A is that you have a choice about whether you want those option A courses to count towards high school. Most students want that. Some situations they may only want to receive the college credit, but under option A you have that choice. But the big difference is option A, you're paying out of pocket. So under option B, let's say you receive state funding, all of your courses fall within those credit hours. That means that tuition, fees, textbooks will all be paid by the state of Ohio. Any courses taken outside of those credit hours will be paid by the student, tuition, fees, textbooks. Some expenses are not covered by CCP, so transportation to and from the college, if a school charges for parking, Lakeland doesn't, but a lot of schools do, those kinds of expenses. You want to buy a new computer because you're taking an online class, all of those things would not be covered by CCP. CCP students can take classes in the summer, fall, and spring terms. The CCP school year starts in the summer. So if you get awarded 20 hours next year, those 20 hours can be used starting in the summer term. We do have some students that will take a CCP course in the summer. About 200 or 300 students will do that. But it is a good option for students that maybe don't want to have too much on their plate during the fall and spring if they're involved in a lot of sports and activities and other classes. Students who take classes in the summer, if they're a student athlete and they need to be in so many classes, those summer classes don't count towards athletic eligibility. CCP students can take classes at the high school. If there are courses that are offered at the high school, CCP students can do that and earn college credits without even having to leave. Of course, going in person to the college or university or online, and students can mix and match any of these opportunities in any given semester. So sometimes we'll see a student that's taking like a history class at their high school because there's a history teacher teaching that course in the high school. Then maybe in the afternoon they go to Lakeland and they take a sign language class, and then maybe they're taking a math class online. So you can mix and match those opportunities. So there's, students can take a lot of different classes. A lot of students will take classes that satisfy both their high school and graduation requirements, as well as some general education requirements that they'll need to take for college later on. It's really important that students are working with their high school guidance counselors, and I know that happens here, to make sure that they're not missing any high school graduation requirements as they're off taking their CCP courses. It's a good opportunity to try out some courses. Maybe you're thinking of majoring in business, take a business class. Maybe you're thinking about going into communications, take some communications classes. So it's a good opportunity to try that out. Some students will start on a degree program while they're in the CCP program. CCP students have to meet all the prerequisites for any course that they take. So you can't take Calc 2 before you take Calc 1, those kinds of things. Certain courses have those rules in place. And CCP students must take their first 15 credit hours in Level 1 courses. And Level 1 courses are courses that are part of Ohio's transfer module, courses that apply to certain degrees and certificates, courses that help a student with study skills or career exploration. So there's a wide variety, hundreds and hundreds of classes that you can pick from in that Level 1 course list. All colleges and universities are required to have this list posted on their website, and we have that on our website if you want to see which courses are Level 1. And then once you finish 15 credit hours, you can go on to Level 2 courses, which include just about any course at Lakeland except for some of the classes that are not allowed through CCP. So those courses are things like private one-on-one music lessons, courses that have really high fees associated with them, study abroad courses, physical education courses. Those used to be popular, and then until they were discontinued, so no yoga or archery or anything like that through CCP. Courses that are graded on a pass-fail basis, or remedial courses or sectarian religious courses are not allowed through CCP. Now, all schools are required to have 15 and 30 credit hour pathways. So, and most schools have some general pathways. And really, a full-time college student typically takes about 15 credit hours. To get through college in 4 years, you really got to be about 15 credit hours a semester to stay on track. So the idea is that a student complete a 15 or 30 credit hour pathway, taking courses that are going to transfer, that are going to be part of a degree. So students are not required to follow any of these pathways, but it's just an example to help guide students so that they know that they're taking some good choices as part of whatever pathway they're on. So examples of a 15 credit hour pathway may be English Composition 1 and 2, an Intro to Psychology, a humanities course, and maybe government. And a lot of those courses are required for high school too. And then when we look at the 30 credit hour pathway, we might add in a math sequence or a science sequence, and those may be different depending on if a student's planning to go into a STEM field or not. So all colleges and universities are required to have at least one 15 and one 30 credit hour pathway, and that's just an example, but some schools have a lot more than that. So as students are taking courses and earning grades in those courses, those grades are going to go back on the college transcript and on the high school transcript. And those grades are going to be calculated into both the college and high school GPA, and they're part of your academic record forever. So that's important to take into account when you're deciding to do CCP. If you have courses that are weighted, like an AP course or an honors course, then any CCP course has to be weighted on the same scale if there's an AP or honors course offered at the high school in the same subject area. And of course, students must successfully complete the course in order to earn the credit. If a student fails the course or withdraws from the course, the transcript at the high school and the college will have this information on it. One of the questions we get all the time is about transfer of credits. Are my credits going to transfer? So most courses transfer, especially if you're staying in those general education areas, and they're guaranteed to transfer to any public college and university in Ohio to another. If you're thinking about going to a private school or out of state, then it's important to check with that college or university to see if those credits will transfer. There are some really good free resources available online. The transfercredit.ohio.gov is available to show how credits transfer between the public schools in Ohio, and transferology.com. You have to set up an account, but it's free, but you can see how an English class at Lakeland transfers all over the country to lots of different schools. So those are some good resources. Unfortunately, sometimes we have students that do the CCP program and they don't do so well, so there are some consequences for that. So if a student is not passing the course, they fail the course, or they withdraw from the course. This slide wasn't updated, that's a public school slide. They're not paying back the school, but then they may not be eligible for funding moving forward because they're not going to be able to provide evidence that they're not on probation or that they're eligible for CCP. And again, those grades are going to be part of your academic transcripts forever and ever. It will impact GPA, and that can have consequences. If a student fails or withdraws often in college, that can also impact future financial aid. And then if a student performs poorly, they may be put on CCP probation or CCP dismissal, or may be put on probation or dismissed by the college or university. So CCP probation is when a CCP student earns less than a cumulative grade point average of 2.0. So if they fall below that 2.0, the next semester they go on CCP probation, and during that probationary time, they're only allowed to take one course, and it cannot be a course where they've previously earned an F or a D grade. The other way that a CCP student may go on probation is if they withdraw from 2 or more classes in the same semester. And then if a student after that probation semester does not bring their GPA up above a 2.0, then they'll be dismissed from the program and they have to sit out for at least 1 semester. So that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes. So it's just important to know about some of these consequences to underperforming in CCP. And of course, CCP students, they're college students, so they have access to all of the resources that are available at the college and university for other students. And of course, you still have your high school guidance counselors. They're a very important resource for you. But when you come to the college or university, you have access to counselors and advisors there, as well as other student support services like a learning center or tutoring center, the library, advising, counseling. Students that are on an IEP at the high school or a 504 plan can receive accommodations at the college or university. So we do make sure that CCP students get the same level of support as other college students. I'm going to shift a little bit now and talk more about CCP specifically at Lakeland because of our partnership. We have about 1,100 CCP students. That's down, I think, because of COVID. We were up around 1,500 before that. And even with that change, CCP students consistently make up about a quarter of our entire student body. So sometimes students worry, am I going to be the youngest? Am I going to be the only one? A quarter of our students at Lakeland are in the CCP program. We have students from 37 different high schools in 6 counties across Northeast Ohio. 81% of them are attending part-time. So that means they're taking some high school classes, and then they're taking some classes at Lakeland too, and they're splitting their day or they're online, but they're still taking classes back at the high school. About 20% are taking everything full-time at Lakeland. 30% take their only CCP courses at their high school, and the rest are coming to campus or taking them online. Some of the other things that we're proud of, not necessarily related specifically to CCP, but Lakeland has been recognized for some different things. We were named the safest campus in the nation by ADT a couple of years ago. We're ranked one of the top 50 best colleges in the nation, and we were named the #1 community college Ohio and #2 in the nation for students reaching their educational goals. So that just goes to show that we are there to support our students. We have a lot of resources available, and we want all students to succeed. For CCP students, they do have some unique opportunities. We have an honors program, and seniors in the CCP program can participate in the honors program. So they get to take some honors classes, but they also do a lot of extracurricular things. They do some volunteer work. They get to participate in social events and different things. We also have partnerships with other schools. Most colleges and universities have an honors program or an honors school, and we have partnerships and agreements with several other institutions where students that are in our honors program can transfer right into their honors program, and there are a lot of scholarships available for honors students, both at Lakeland but also at other colleges and universities, sometimes nicer dorms, better parking spaces. So there's a lot of advantages to participating in the honors program. And we've recently opened that up to high school seniors to participate. We have a variety of classes. Our full term in the fall and spring are 16-week courses, but we also have 8-week courses, 12-week courses, 5-week courses in the summer. So we have a lot of flexibility there with schedules. We give CCP students the first 2 weeks of the semester to drop a class, and there's no consequence. There's no W on the transcript. Students don't owe any money. They just have those kind of that 2-week safety time to try out a course. Of course, we have a great writing center, tutoring services, and parking is free at Lakeland. We are talking about those different pathways. So we have those general 15 and 30 credit hour pathways for students that are thinking about going on to do a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. But we also have some more career-focused pathways that are really good opportunities for students. We have the Information Technology and Computer Science College Ready Now. It's a mouthful, but that's for students that are interested in information technology, computer science. Those students will take certain courses and can earn our IT specialist certificate, but along the way in taking those courses, they're also earning industry certifications, which is going to help them in the job market. We do have students that go on to complete an associate degree, and we have agreements with several four-year schools to move seamlessly into their four-year IT degrees. And there's a lot of internship opportunities. So if you have a student that's really interested in computers, this is a good opportunity. And we're also letting students know about all of the healthcare career pathways that are available. Certain programs like our associate degree in nursing, you can't do until you're out of high school. You have to be a high school graduate to do that program. But we do have some certificate programs that are open to students that are in high school STNA, phlebotomy, EMT, all kinds of things. So those are a great opportunity, not just for students who are thinking of going and doing that right after high school and then maybe waiting on school, but it's a good learning opportunity for students that do plan to go on to a four-year school. We had a CCP student that did the EMT program her senior year and then went on and finished her bachelor's degree at Akron and was working as an EMT, and then she got admitted to med school, and now she's bringing that experience with her, which is very unique and a really good opportunity. So we are trying to do more to highlight some of these other programs and opportunities besides our general 15 and 30 credit hour pathways. We're so proud of our CCP students. Ever since College Credit Plus started in 2015, Lakeland has awarded more associate degrees to CCP students each year than any other college or university in the state. And that, again, I think that shows the level of support and the access to resources that our CCP students have. We have students that are participating in leadership activities, they're in the honors program, Phi Theta Kappa and other honors societies, emerging leaders, those kinds of things. Many of our CCP students make the dean's list and graduate with distinction. Those go on the transcript, and so when you're transferring to a four-year school or applying for graduate school, those are good things to have on your transcript. And we've had CCP students recognized, winning awards at the institution, state, and national level through different competitions like math competitions, the celebration of research, Model UN. Last year, our Provost Award, which is the highest academic honor you can receive when students graduate, was awarded to a CCP student. So they do really well. After CCP, when you're graduating from high school, we do have a lot of students that stay on at Lakeland and complete an associate degree or certificate and then transfer. Some transfer onto our Holden, one of the programs at our Holden University Center across the street. We have partnerships with 11 different colleges and universities, and together they offer 23 bachelor's programs. They also have some graduate programs as well. So students can earn a degree from Franklin or Youngstown State or Cleveland State, but staying in Lake County. And then for our students that do go on to a four-year school, Lakeland is the #2 community college in Ohio for the number of transfer students who end up completing a four-year degree. So that's good. I like this slide. You probably recognize some of these school logos. One of the myths about CCP or community colleges is that credits don't transfer. CCP is good if you're going to go on to a public school because it'll transfer, but if you're going to go out of state, you need to do AP or something. These are schools where our actual CCP students have gone on to after CCP. So we've had CCP students get admitted to Ivy League schools, top research institutions, prestigious small liberal arts schools, engineering schools, music schools. So I think that myth is kind of out there, and just with the growth of CCP and dual enrollment in general across the country, but how many students in Ohio participate in CCP, schools are really good about transferring those credits and looking at the fact that was a rigorous program, and they're going to consider those students even at selective institutions. So to get started at Lakeland, the first step is to apply. And our application is online. When you go to our website, there's a little button at the top. You click on that and complete the application. We are in the process of putting in a new CRM, which is going to house our new application. So within weeks, that'll be up and ready. But the application will be available for you to view. In addition to that, we will ask you to have your high school transcript sent to us. Part of the application process, this year, remember I mentioned that permission slip about the mature content, so we need to have one of those from each CCP student signed by the student and the parent for them to participate. If you've taken the ACT or SAT, or if you're taking it soon, you can have those test scores sent to us. or you can take the AccuPlacer, which is a free placement exam that we offer on campus. And the one big message that I will say through the application process, but really for as long as you're ever enrolled in college, make sure you're checking your email on a regular basis. Important updates, what you're missing, next steps, passwords, all of that is going to go to the email that you put on your application. A lot of high schools have really strict security on their email servers. So a lot of times high school students apply to CCP and they put their high school email, and our emails get lost somewhere. They may go into a spam folder, but a lot of times they just get zapped by whatever security system the district has. So if you have a Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, one of those types of accounts, that's probably a safer bet to make sure that you're getting the messages from Lakeland, like your password to get into our portal. I have an update to this slide, and it's really exciting. So for the longest time, to be eligible for CCP, students had to get a score on a test. And those score minimums are set by the state. We will still accept those. For students that took the ACT, it's an 18 in English, a 480 on the SAT evidence-based reading and writing test, or coming to campus and taking the AccuPlacer Next Generation Writing Test. Those scores determine that the student is college ready. And there's a little note here, pending final approval from Ohio lawmakers, we may be able to use GPA. That was something that was used temporarily during the pandemic because it was difficult for students to, a lot of testing centers were closed, ACTs were canceled. They decided to adopt this permanently, and this decision came very recently, and we're still kind of ironing everything out at Lakeland, but I can tell you that students who are going into 10th, 11th, and 12th grade next year will be eligible for CCP without a test score if they have a high school GPA of 3.0 or higher. For younger students, or for students who are in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade who did not have a 3.0 GPA, then we'll need one of these test scores because they're not eligible on GPA otherwise. The one thing that we're still trying to finalize is that high school GPA also being used for placement into English and math courses. So that's to be announced later as we're trying to work out those details, but I can say that if you have a 3.0 in 10th or 11th or 12th grade, you will be eligible to participate in CCP at Lakeland. So that's very good news, very exciting. I do want to talk a little bit about the AccuPlacer for students who might be younger or may not have that GPA requirement. A lot of students haven't taken the ACT or SAT yet, so this is a good option. It's a free placement exam. It's done through College Board. They're the same company that does the SAT and AP tests. We offer the test on campus. We have all students do the Next Generation Writing Test, and if they're thinking about taking math and they've completed Algebra 2, they can also take the Next Generation Math Test. If you are a student who will need to take the placement test because you don't have the GPA or you're not going to be old enough yet, do not take the AccuPlacer without preparing. We have very good students with 4.0 GPAs come and not do any of the test prep stuff, and they just get thrown off by the format of the test and they don't do well. So we have a lot of free resources on our website. We have in-person and virtual and practice tests and all kinds of resources, and students who use those resources do much better on the test. So definitely do the practice tests and look over those materials. If you're taking the AccuPlacer on our campus, we do need a photo ID to make sure that that's the student who's taking the test. If the student, a lot of times we have younger students that don't have a driver's license yet or may not have a state ID. We do have a College Board student ID form on the website that a student can fill out, take a picture, bring that, we can use that instead. Sign up for the AccuPlacer is online. You have to apply first before you can take the test. The test takes place on campus. It is not timed. Okay, so This test, what it does, it uses computer adaptive technology where your answer to this question determines the difficulty level of the next question. So if a student's rushing through it or thinks they're going to go back and do all the questions they know and go back and do the other ones, it doesn't work that way. So we want students to take their time, it's not time, to do their best so that they can get the best score possible. For students who are taking the math test, no outside calculators are permitted, but one will be provided. Students have 2 attempts at the AccuPlacer. Unless they participate in one of our test prep activities, we may be able to give a 3rd attempt. I'm really hoping that with this new GPA rule, we won't have to have as many students testing and we'll have more availability for those who do. Once you're accepted, again, check that email regularly. That's how you're going to know you're accepted, is by email. We have an online CCP orientation that we do through Blackboard. We want the students and parents to sit down together and do that. But you can start it, come back to it later and finish it. You do it at your own pace. Once you finish that online piece, then we have you meet with one of our academic counselors. They're going to be helping you with your course selection and getting registered for your courses. So they'll be talking to you about, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, and what classes do you need, and do you want them in the afternoon or online or in the morning, and they'll help with that process. We'll need that CCP funding award letter to make sure that we know to bill the state for your credit hours instead of sending you the bill, so that's important. And then in the summer, we haven't set the dates yet, but we're going to have a few welcome days. Because our orientation is online, we want to give students and parents the opportunity to come to campus, get your student ID card, visit the bookstore, pick up your books, get a tour of the campus, and those kinds of things. So we will be letting you know about those welcome days as we get closer to summer. At the table, there is a checklist, so make sure you grab one of those. It kind of walks you through the steps, and it's a good resource. The only difference is that you will have the extra step of that CCP funding application and making sure that that award letter gets to us. But remember that April 1st date. That's when that application has to be submitted. If you miss that date, they will not accept it. You will have to pay out of pocket if you want to do CCP. I do have a picture of our website. We did recently redo our website. And so if you click on the New Students button, that's going to take you to that checklist with a lot more information and links and details for new students that are getting through the application process. The other thing that we've added to our website, let me go back, right below new students, homeschool and non-public students. So we have a ton of resources available for you. We brought that one handout from the state, that 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you go to our website, we have links to creating that OHID account. We have a link to they have a manual in case you need it. I hope it's not that hard that you need a manual, but we have a link to that and all kinds of information. So, but we do not have access to the application. That's all done through the state. So we want to provide these resources, but we're not able to answer a lot of questions about your application or your situation. So we provide those resources, but it is really important if you're logging in, you're not sure it's going through, or you have any questions about your funding application, reach out to them. I have this email, but we have it on our website too, to let them know you're having trouble so they can fix it. And again, what happens on April 1st, a lot of people wait till then, and it's a Friday, and I don't know if it's a Friday this year, but they're done working at 5, right? So then if you waited till after work that day to do the application and something's not working, the website's not coming up, they're not there to be able to answer those questions. So please make sure you do it before April 1st. And before I open it up for questions, just to let you know about some of our resources, we have a main email address that we have several people that are checking this account on a regular basis. We have Jody Dalton, she's at the table. Hi, Jody. She is our CCP Student Success Navigator. So she is here to help students through the admissions process, and once they're students here, if they're having questions, need help with registration, they're getting stuck in a class or something, that's what Jody is here for. She actually graduated with her associate degree as a CCP student, so she is an expert on helping CCP students. And then Jamie Deemer is our CCP coordinator. And so both of those ladies are very knowledgeable, very friendly, very helpful, so you can reach out to them. We have our website, and then there's the Ohio CCP website that has a lot of information with pages specifically for private school students. So.